Hello students, welcome to the physics session. Today we are going to start with a new theme, that is magnetism. In this theme, you are going to learn various properties of magnets and its usefulness. Now, in this class, we are going to start with the very basics. That means we are going to understand the discovery of magnets and the various types of magnets, like how are they classified. In this topic, in these further topics, we are going to classify the magnets into two categories. One is whether it is artificial and natural and the other one is whether we have magnetic substances or non-magnetic substances. So this is a snapshot of what we are going to learn in further classes. Okay students, so let's begin with the very first topic, that is the discovery of magnet. Now students, it is not known when were the magnets discovered, but there is a very prevalent story about the discovery of magnets in a very small town called Magnesia. This town is in the Greece. Now, in early period, there was a shepherd. His name was Magnus. Now, what Magnus used to do? Magnus used to take his sheep for rearing on a particular mountain. That mountain was named as Mount Ida. Now, what Magnus used to do while rearing the sheep? He used to carry a wooden stick. That wooden stick used to have an iron sole. Now, what happened? One day when Magnus was rearing his sheep on the Mount Ida, his stick got stuck with a stone. He saw that his stick was not able to move away from the stone, no matter how much force he was applying. He thought that a spirit actually caught his stick. He got very terrified because at that time he did not know what that thing was. Actually, he did not know he discovered a very important stone that was called magnetite. And this magnetite is nothing but the ore of magnets. That means these are the material that had a property to attract objects made of iron. So this is how magnets were discovered. Now, what are magnets? Magnets are the substances which have the property of attracting iron. So, any object that can attract iron can be termed as a magnet. Now, what you see here, student, is the magnetite stone. The formula of magnetite is Fe3O4 as it is written here. This was the first magnet discovered by the humankind, right? This is also called a natural magnet. Now, it was found in the nature on its own. That's why it termed as a natural magnet. It has two very important properties. Now, it is not just about magnetite. All the magnets have some common properties. Let's learn about them. Properties of magnets. The first property of magnet is that it attracts small pieces of iron towards itself. This property is called as attractive property. Now, students, we already defined magnets as those materials that can attract iron pieces. This is also the property, the defining property for any object to qualify for a magnet. So, if an object or a substance can attract iron pieces, what you can say? It is a magnet. As you can see here, the iron nails get stuck to a magnet piece. Right, students? The second important property of any magnet is that it has directional properties. Now, what do you mean by directional properties? Let's first read the definition. If shaped in the form of a needle, let's say I have a magnetic material and I shape it in a form of a very thin needle, then a suspended freely. Then if it is suspended freely means, student, if I use a thread and tie the thread with the needle and leave my needle freely holding the thread only. That means the needle is not in the direct contact of my hand, right? So if I take a magnetic material, cast it into a needle and then suspend it freely, what will you observe? You will observe that it always points in the north-south direction. This property is called the directive property of magnet. So, these two properties, that means the attractive property and the directive property, is what defines the magnet very properly. So, if you see, here is a magnet needle, and if you suspend it freely with the thread, what you see? After rotating, giving it some time, it will come in a direction, it will come to rest in a direction that will point to the north and the south direction. Fine, students? Let's move ahead. Now, this is a very cool fact, students. Did you know that in the 12th century, when magnets were discovered, people started to use its directive property. That means the property by which it can show the north and the south direction. So, at that time, sailors used to carry a needle that will point in the north-south direction and will lead their way. Because of this also, the magnets were started to be called by a name called leading stone, or it was later named as lodestone. Why? Because it was leading the sailors in the right direction. Okay, students? Thank you.